And so, going from the artsy farts of greenery to the rough and rigid keepers of the peace, the adventure continues.
And
Yay.
so our story continues. Welcome to Peacekeepers. Things get a little bit more militaristic.
I don't think any of us pointed out, but where are the little dots around Spyro's head in the corner again?
Oh, those little life pips. Whoa.
Oh, what's this guy?
He's very rocky. I like
He's
it.
very svelte sounding.
He's hot.
So, this is something I find kind of interesting about Spyro 1. All the worlds are based around, like, what kinds of dragons you'll meet up with. Like, in the first world, we met up with a whole bunch of, well, artisans, as they call them. Like,
oh, yeah, the art
basically
makers.
those that are of the art and entertainment industry. Now we pretty much come to the dragons that keep the peace of the dragon worlds. Basically, well, the guardians.
That is so... I never noticed that, really. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's only really accentuated with Reignited and all the different dragon designs.
Oh yeah.
Get out of there.
I mean, in all fairness, the subtlety was there in the original game. It's just that here it's a lot. It's a lot more clear that these guys. Well, you don't want to mess with them, or they'll mess you up.
Yeah, they're kind of like the soldiers, like the blacksmiths, armory, those kinds of people.
Right.
And to answer Hype's question, those are little life pellets. If you ever... enemies in Spyro 1 and Spyro 1 only, enemies drop gems. And if you've already collected a gem from them, they'll instead drop a... Get him!
Okay, I looked away for just a second. Was he mooning us?
Yes,
Yes,
he
look
was.
at that.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're mooning us.
Wow,
Die.
it's a triple move.
That's just inviting you to have some hot buns.
I love how they just impact against anything they bounce against. Anyway, if you've already gotten a gem from an enemy, they'll get a life. You'll give you a life pip instead, and if you collect enough of them in a circle, you get a 1-up. It happens very rarely.
Well, I'm actually off. I'm only off by by about 100 or so gems. Oh well, time to keep the peace some more.
You've got a dragon. There you are.
Dragon!
There he is.
There we go. Magnus.
Oh,
Oh, this guy.
Whoa.
Seen him around.
God, he's got a belly.
Sparks the Dragonfly has been doing a good job protecting you. Make sure to keep him strong by feeding him lots of butterflies.
I love the jiggle physics. Perfect jiggle physics.
The dragon.
Okay.
The dragon that launched 1,000 fetishes.
Huzzah!
It's all there.
Yeah, I love that. Like the dragon that launched 1,000 fetishes, and yet you don't seem to mind.
Of course. Well, those. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say that.
Bless the wall.
I was gonna say his design and actually the body size reminded me a lot of like those old like Maui, the Polynesian like fighters, like the kind of thing where it's like the kind of thing where like back. I mean, like like Maui in Moana kind of shows a lot of like where like they kind of like this sort. They kind of like I have no other way to say it, and I feel horrible, but they kind of like they prided themselves. Ooh, boss! They prided themselves on this sort of strong, thick stature. Not just like bodybuilding, like muscles ripping, but like actually just having density to yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of
in other words, dummy thick.
Hell yeah!
They're kind of. It's kind of the same way. It's kind of the same as it's similar to sumo wrestlers. Like they look fat, but it's all muscle. It's all how they diet and how they exercise and how that muscle and fat distributes.
Dummy.
Since you said dummy thick and since you said Maui and dummy thick, I would make a terrible joke, but my rock impression sucks.
I was even dumber. I almost Gui saved me, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Was that when James was like, "Oh, you mean dummy thick?" I was gonna be like, "Honey, you mean hunkulus."
You know what? If we're gonna revise the board jokes, I'll do it as well. Well, one, I need to get my hook back, but I'm dummy thick.
No, and frickin' Tamatoa keeps hearing the sound. No, moving on. Got a thief. Yay.
Next to the dragon.
So I don't know if we already said, but what's your favorite world? Do you think, James?
I mean, honestly, it's hard to say really between this and Artisans.
Well done, Spyro.
I could at least probably say that I think it's probably
Destiny? I just want to kick some.
Just toast those enemies. And
Whoa, boy!
So this guy looks
Someone
cool.
needs
For
soap in your
everyone.
mouth.
I can't exactly say what my favorite world is, but I can definitely say, like, maybe my favorite types of dragons in the game, because I honestly, it's hard. I can't get enough of how they, the artisans especially.
Oh, they're so creative.
Oh, damn it, no!
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Well,
Get to
Don't die in
rocks.
the purple stuff.
Well,
you don't know.
Died in the
That's
purple
unfortunate.
And depending on when he last got zapped, right, and depending on when he got last zapped by Zoe, which, I'm just gonna say, it's definitely Zoe, even though Zoe's not supposed to be here until the second game.
It's not Zoe, it's just another type of fairy, that's all.
Stuff.
Okay.
Oh, the bunny! You killed my uncle.
Did you like your uncle?
My brother.
Well, Bunny's procreate by the thousands, so he could be anyone's uncle.
Yeah. Well,
That would explain Pie's shipping problem.
oh, God.
Revenge. It's the best story I've
Way to toast me.
And they say I'm the vulgar one.
seen. Aw. Okay, let's see. What are we missing? But yeah, so like from this point forward, Hype, if he kills enemies, they give him the little gems instead, the little life pips instead.
Yeah, the metal balls.
Oh.
Those are life
I
pips.
see what that is now.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
It was only a thing in this game.
Also, if I could just comment real quick, James, you say that about yourself. I feel like Allie lately has been kind of giving you a run for your money on that. I feel like she's trying to, like, compensate for the years that she's been a little kind about that. It's like, no, I need to make up for it.
Yeah, we
Wait,
should
what
talk
are
about
you
that.
talking about?
We should also talk about that real quick, as James just showed off. In the Reignited Trilogy, sometimes Sparks doesn't like to do his job.
Oh.
Wait, what do you mean he doesn't like to do his job? Oh, right.
There will be a gem
yeah.
right there, and James will just have to walk into it.
Oh! Honestly, yeah, I love that. Honestly, though, it's more so the exception than the rule. For the most part, Sparks is pretty reliable when it comes to gem hunting.
There
Is it more apparent in one game more than the other, or is it an issue in all three?
I would argue it's an issue with all three games.
And I like to think it has something to do with. So here's what I figured out. Sparks will home in on a gem if you are feet on the ground on the same plane as the gem. Like you have to be standing next to the gem. And because I've learned, because like this is to help prevent you from like picking up gems that are on a platform too high for you. You have to get up on that platform first. But the fact is that with this remastered thing, they added new, like, you know, little hills and new things. Like they added little divots because of the finer, you know, texturing, the finer polygon count of this game.
It should also be said that the Spyro Reignited Trilogy was all made under the Unreal Engine.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Still turned out phenomenal, and you know, again, about that freaking polygon count. That was how, like, that was their big claim to fame. Was that literally that treasure chest in front of us, that cactus to our right, those have more polygons than some of the original enemies in Spyro 1 did.
Oh, yeah.
Shocking.
Well, it's a PS4 versus a PS1. Is it really that hard to claim?
But it is still cool to look into it and say, like, yeah, that was its claim to fame, was it made up for all this high power by having basically one polygon enemies, and they just made use of a lot of squash and stretch, and it all worked.
Yeah.
For the most
Yeah.
part.
Like, even back then, they worked with the limitations of the technology.
And I still love what these reignited and you know, insane and stuff. I love what these games are showing is that, I mean, like, the only that for the most part, in some cases, the main thing that was holding those games back from continuing to be timeless classics was just
Conan.
maybe
Conan,
The barbarian.
Oh,
Oh,
But no, that's freaking what's his face.
Spyro.
he
He looks too regal.
That's something. No, he hunted the windmills. What's his name?
Don Quixote.
Yeah, that was a Don Quixote.
Oh, that's a stretch. Better get rid of that one.
Yeah, that was a Don.
Prepare to die.
That was a different one. That was Don
That-
Caliente.
That's Inigo Montoya.
That is really something I did that is funny about the original Spyro games. Like the ones that are named after like big fictional stars are always the ones that always keep saying, "Thank you for releasing me."
But they
Thank you
do.
for releasing me.
But they do a good. But again, as you'll see, they do a good job of mixing it up and having it be stuff like, "Thank you for rescuing me," or stuff like that.
Yeah.
or adding onto it like with Thor.
Well, it hurts.
Thank you for releasing me. But yeah, stuff like that.
Whoa.
Anywho's,
One
but
thing I do appreciate about this game is that once an enemy's dead, they're just straight up dead. You don't have to worry about them like body slamming on you with their dead carcass and cause that literally hurting you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so. But yeah, it was so cool to see it's so cool to see that what was really holding these games back was maybe just their appearance, and really if you just upgrade the visuals and kept most of the game the same, they're still solid. And whoa.
Is that you, Spyro? Are you the young dragon I've been hearing so much about?
He's got a bomb.
Ever since you were a wee puff of smoke, we've known,
You've known...
I forget.
No.
I do. That is actually something.
Wait. For a moment, like, you notice he sneezed there. It's like, oh,
no,
god,
did
he
he like
the
the
guy
food?
at the bomb.
Yeah.
No!
I
What were you
honestly,
saying, Logan?
I would say that was something that I did like the original delivery a bit more. It was all because it was so much faster. It was like, since you were a wee bit of smoke, we've known. Forget.
Yeah, that is.
Just
It's
some of the
kind of like
delivery
what I
was
was
a little
alluding
funnier.
to earlier. It's like, you know, for all intents and purposes, this game does just do a lot of things better than the original did, and that applies to the dragons.
Oh, yeah.
I would be
Oh,
lying
yeah.
if I said that. I would be lying if I said that there were some quirks of the PS1 version that I did kind of miss. Like, there's one dragon that we'll see in Treetops, where it's like he's congratulating Spyro on reaching him. Spyro's like, "Yeah, well, you could have picked an easier spot to get stuck." I love how the shrug was in the original, where it's just like the very slowly.
Well, it's still there in the original.
It's
I know,
it's
but
still
it's
there in
just
the
a lot more
original,
weak.
it's just- well, I mean, honestly, it just. I mean, even here, it's all the more hilarious, considering that was a very bullshit dragon to
Oh,
get.
that is so weird.
Oh, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that I just couldn't help but be amused by the.
And of course, we can't forget the angel Spyro. It's good to see you, but I gotta go.
Yeah, I've noticed that definitely in Treetops they really accentuated the idea of like some of them were in the original, but in Reignited, I think most, if not all, of the dragons in Treetops are Cajun.
Huh.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it would
no,
make
yeah.
sense.
Well, yeah, and we'll see that in Beastmakers. Like they're all like,
Oh, hi there.
Jerk.
we see that in Beastmakers. They're all like swamp people.
Oh, the swamp
And it was
people.
such a nice swamp too.
Such a swamp, dude. But yeah, just, I guess we should also talk about that. First off, is when we get to the other trilogy games, this was the only game that had a 25 gem, like a gem that's worth 25, which was the purple
Boris!
gems.
I think
Hey,
so.
Boris.
Oh,
Oh.
That.
Oh.
Actually, and I didn't notice this. I didn't notice this until I replayed it again. But he has a freaking rattlesnake tail, which is awesome.
yeah.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if
see?
you go back when he first spawns.
Yeah,
you
when
see
he
it
first spawns, his tail doesn't look.
like it
Yeah,
actually rattles a bit.
I'll have to keep an eye on when I look back at this.
I don't know. I think that's such a cool detail. Some of these guys, and we'll see some dragons that look like they're based more on like geckos or tree frogs. They had a lot of fun with the variety.
Yeah.
Just any sort of reptile you can think of.
Oh yeah.
I want a Komodo dragon.
It took me so long to figure out that trick.
Actually,
Yeah, that's a first timer's worst nightmare right there.
Maximus. Whoa.
Oh
he
my
really let
goodness,
himself
he
go.
lives up to that name.
Spyro, I thought I'd be stuck here forever with those ugly vultures standing on my head. Those birds might look tough, but they're pretty tasty. Flame broiled with a pinch of salt.
You know, I did wonder what the story is behind that scar on his neck.
I don't know.
Probably
There's
from
gotta be- They have
birds.
to have fought in orcs
the
or
deep
something.
Spyro lore.
Yeah, I mean they some of these
Fanfic writers, do your
I
thing.
like that. I
Yeah!
like when designs can like tell a story in and of themselves sometimes.
Yeah, that's the beauty of character design, is that, you know, when you nail a good character design will
Oh, we need
tell
the
you
treasure
everything you
chest.
need to know about the character
Oh,
at a glance.
Right.
Oh, I remember what I was about to say. Going back to the whole like anything reptilian, they made a dragon out of it. Has there, if not in Spyro, just in any fantasy in general, has there ever been a turtle dragon before?
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there has to have been.
There has to have been. I'll look into that right now.
I'm actually thinking of a design
And
like
no,
that.
Bowser doesn't count.
While I'm looking into that, I feel like I've seen it maybe in Chinese. Yeah, Chinese mythical. There's the dragon turtle, the legendary Chinese mythology body of a turtle with a dragon's head.
Could be. So, Allie, I guess, because I know, just to give a bit of pretext, before we started doing these games, what the...
Oh, Pi had to leave. I guess someone knocked on her door.
Okay,
Yeah, I
she'll
noticed that
probably be
too.
she'll probably be back in a bit. Anyway, just to give people context, before we started recording these games, we did a bit of a
I'm
stream.
back.
Hey there.
You alright?
Anyway,
My internet almost died.
Oh.
no.
you're still recording though, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
no
welcome back
worries.
with us.
Okay,
no
good.
worries.
That's good.
Anyway, like I was saying, to give people context, before we started recording these games, we kind of watched I think it was mostly Logan, but we kind of watched each other like play the entire trilogy, you know, just to get a feel of it. Allie, from what all you've seen of the trilogy, what did you think of like the other two games aside from this one?
Oh gosh, aside from the first one, I don't really remember a lot.
Oh, well,
unfortunately, I can't really say much.
I think it was around the time when she was starting to become very on and off.
You cut out for me. What was that? I'm sorry.
He said it was around the time you started like being on and off with joining that. Yeah, I'll get that gem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Gotta grab it.
It's just out of reach.
While we're doing that, while we're I guess talking about that for a bit, James, do you want to tell him about Mr. Copeland?
Oh yeah. What was his first name?
Stuart.
Stuart Copeland. Yeah, they actually brought him back for the Reignited Trilogy, and he literally recomposed every track in this entire game. And as an added bonus for the diehard purists out there, they even brought back the original soundtrack to switch between at your leisure.
Yep. At any point you can swap between the two. It's really cool, and it's from the options menu. I always forget to do that. Is that yes, you can swap between the original or reignited soundtrack. So many people remember Stuart Copeland as, I believe, the drummer of the Police.
I believe so. I know he was in the Police. I just don't remember which instrument he was.
And another claim to fame is that one of the songs in Spyro 1 was literally the theme tune for the Amanda Show.
Yep,
I think it's Spyro 2, but I do get what you mean.
No, it was Spyro 1.
Let me look it up real quick. But yeah, I know it's
there'll be a level in Magic Crafters where they literally use the theme song.
Right. And it's and that's basically the Amanda Show.
Since we're talking about music, another interesting thing that the Reignited Trilogy did, they added something called dynamic music, where depending on your movement through the levels, the music will change accordingly.
Right.
Like if you're just standing still, the music will be a little bit more somber. When you're charging through, it sounds a little bit more frantic. And
you get like a drum beat and stuff when you're like
that. I really appreciate.
Yeah. Makes them more immersed.
Like, I feel like we should, like, hang on, yeah, let's be quiet just so I can hear it. So we have a little bit of an added drum beat, and as soon as we catch this thief, give it a second.
If he catches the thief.
We need this as an endless loop.
The annoying thing about the thieves is that they do run on some sort of rubber band AI, where like if you don't act quick, they will like speed ahead of you. Like, honest to God, I was tempted to add the fucking Benny Hills theme there, but I know how much I've overused it by now.
This guy's kind of cool.
He's got a big hammer.
Remember, Spyro, flame won't work on metal.
Pull.
Charging with your horns? That's
Shit.
trick.
I love how he literally has a battering ram. It looks like a ram's head.
Oh, I know.
Well, it's supposed to be a hammer, but I get what you mean.
But no, it had a ram's head, so I think he uses it. He wields a battering ram as a weapon.
It's a rammer. It's a rammer.
Only a dragon would be strong enough to lift a battering ram by one arm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm hoping, I think we already mentioned this again, but yeah, with Reignited and the fact that Spyro's now been announced to be a racer, it's going to be great.
Huh?
Spyro's gonna be a guest racer in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled.
But a dragon to drive a cart.
Yes.
You know, we knew it was gonna happen eventually because basically Spyro is kind of to Crash what Sonic was to Mario in terms of being really good friendly rivals back in the day.
Would you believe, Pi, that it won't be the first time Spyro ever driven on a go-kart?
Wait, what?
No, it would not be the first time.
He was also playable in the Game Boy Advance version of Nitro Kart.
Oh.
Also to make it a bit more apropos, actually, and also to make it maybe a bit of a more apropos connection with what I had to say is that he was also like similar to what Ratchet and Clank was for Jak and Daxter.
But he's on four things.
Right down to the same devs.
Yeah, not really in crossover games, but definitely at least hinted like they both were aware of each other's projects, which was always fun to see them work together.
I mean, wasn't the first Ratchet and Clank made on the Jak and Daxter engine?
Really?
I don't think so.
Well, I remember hearing that Naughty Dog was involved in partially on the project.
Maybe.
And I do know that, like, I think similar to what Crash and Spyro did, they also had, like, demos tucked away in them. Like, for example, I think, like, the Ratchet 2 had, like, a demo for Drac 3.
Maybe. I know that there definitely were little billboards and stuff you could find each other in the games, and whoa.
Oh,
I love the sass of this guy.
Why don't you glide there and find out?
Looks like he has grapes on his
He was a little bit sassy in the original. He was like, hey, what's over that river? Why don't you glide there and find out?
Oh.
Well, thanks, you dick.
And God, I wish we had the hover.
His
but
wings
okay.
were kind of feathery.
My God, I remember this place very well in PS1 original, and boy, howdy did it get the much needed TLC.
It used to be just flat. Now it has foliage and
it was very flat, and the draw distance was absolute shit.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Kickers.
See, well, I would say like I think that's how Spyro got around the draw distance with that. It just added a bunch of buildings and stuff to like cover it up, but in these flat open areas, it's
by
really
the way that they were running.
Because they're running lizards. They're dorky.
Yeah, they do.
Frilled lizards, I believe.
They do run like that. They just go.
Just the way they're running, they're just kind of like.
Yeah, that's exactly. They like waddle. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it anyway. Okay. Okay. Now, just listening for me real quick. I swear, this next dragon sounds like Roger Craig Smith voice.
It is Roger Craig Smith.
It is.
I knew
Is
it.
it?
Yeah, listen. You'll hear Sonic. Hey, Marco.
His name is Marco.
Listen here.
Oh, he's cool. He's got metal wings.
You can get to almost anywhere from here. If I were you, I'd use that whirlwind over there.
Yeah, that's Roger, all right.
Huh.
Look what I found at the flea market.
You know what's kind of funny is that like that's Roger. Before they announced the names of the actors, I almost thought that Roger was also the voice for Hunter.
I would buy it. I'd believe it.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Huh.
Hard.
I mean, that would have been interesting, but they got someone else for the trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah, they did. It was
go
Robbie
around.
Kamen, aka to name a few things, he's the current voice actor for Spider-Man in a few things.
Huh.
He voiced Michelangelo in that one Ninja Turtles game that Platinum made.
Yeah,
I'm
the
trying to
Mutants
think
of
if
New
there's
York or
anything
whatever.
else you would recognize him.
I mean, I think he does a decent job as Hunter. We'll get to. I guess real quick. So to clarify, I'm handling Ripto then.
Mm-hmm. And assuming things go well, Gui has volunteered to do Spyro 3 for us.
Gotcha.
We do need to get around to testing that though. We've been putting that off, and I'm sorry about that.
We'll figure that out. Don't worry. So what we were saying next is I mentioned this. Oh yeah. So what I was saying was what I'm hoping for with Reignited and Insane is that I'm hoping that this shows and maybe I don't know what you guys would expect from it. I guess it would be kind of similar to what happened with of all things like freaking. Okay, I'm getting completely off track. Okay, keep me in focus. What would you guys say if using this exact same engine and the same engine that Insane was used on? Don't forget the firework, James.
Oh, I can't reach it from there. I gotta go back up.
Oh.
Anyway, is that I hope. What would you guys say if they actually made a forget Hero's Tale, forget Wrath of Cortex, if they made a new Crash 4 or Spyro 4?
Well, I'm not quite sure.
Using these same
I'm not
engines.
quite sure if I'd really call them like Crash 4 or Spyro 4. But just to answer the general question, also technically, Enter the Dragonfly was meant to be Spyro 4, but that's a completely different discussion.
Same with Wrath of Cortex, but moving on. Sorry, yeah, my bad.
I still get the point you're making, and heck yes.
I think if they use the same engine, and a similar like level design that the original like uses its principles, I can honestly see the engines working for like other types of games. Like I've shown you the videos of the guy that's trying to make like Twin Sandy style levels with the Insane engine. Right.
Not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, the Insane Trilogy was made off of the Skylanders engine.
Oh yeah.
No, I thought it was Spyro that was.
No, Crash was the one that was made off of the Skylander engine. Spyro was made off of the Unreal engine.
Oh, Unreal engine. My bad. Oh, here the LS2. Got him.
There we go.
Sneaky bunch of bastards.
That's Leaf.
Yeah, let's.
Use the pause menu, but okay, let's go.
Well, the home portal's literally like right here.
Yeah.
If it was like completely out of the way, then yeah, I would have exited from the pause menu, which...
Again, it's so cool. The levels aren't really that big in and of themselves, but they fill it out with so much stuff to do.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, whether it could still be argued that, like, if all those collectibles really mean anything in the long run, well, that's up to the player. Like, personally speaking, I think considering what we get at the end, it's not a bad reward, and it doesn't really take that much time to do anyway.
Right.
Oh boy, reinforcements.
And
yeah. Surprise, bitch.
They suck at their
surprise,
job.
motherfucker.
So yeah, that was Spyro.
Yeah.
Look at his face.
That's a face of innocence.
I just killed those guys.
Join us next time for another jolly romp into war.
Yeah, stay tuned next time as we continue keeping the peace.
Keeping the peace with violence, yes!
Bye-bye, guys.
I am the law.
I am Spyro.